Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Rarest coins today, we're talking about one of the most incredible and mysterious coins in modern American history, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. This coin looks completely ordinary, something you might find in your change or in a drawer full of old coins. But a few extremely rare versions of this coin have sold for jaw-dropping amounts of money, including one that reportedly brought in over $1.9 million. That's right. A simple 25-cent coin turned into a $1 million treasure. How could that possibly happen? Let's dig into the history, the reason behind its value, and how you might recognize one of these rare coins if you're lucky enough to find it. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It replaced the standing Liberty quarter and was designed by sculptor John Flanagan. For more than 6 decades, the Washington design remained on the nation's quarter, becoming one of the most familiar coins in American pockets. But 1965 was a turning point in U.S. coin history. For more than a century, dimes, quarters, and half dollars had been made of 90% silver. That changed in the mid-1960s when silver prices began to skyrocket. People started hoarding silver coins, creating a massive coin shortage across the country. To fix the problem, the U.S. Mint made a historic decision. Starting in 1965, quarters and dimes would no longer contain any silver. Instead, they would be made from a copper-nickel clad composition, layers of nickel over a pure copper core. It was the beginning of the modern coinage era and the end of silver in everyday U.S. coins. During this transition, mint marks were also temporarily removed to discourage hoarding, which means number 1965 quarter has a mint mark. Whether it was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, they all look identical on the surface. The U.S. Mint produced over 1.8 billion quarters in 1965, so it's one of the most common coins from that era. But among those billions, a few rare errors slipped through, and that's where the million-dollar stories begin. Here's the incredible part. Some 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on the old 90% silver planchets that were supposed to have been used for the 1964 quarters. The mint had large numbers of leftover silver blanks during the transition period, and somehow, a small handful ended up being used in 1965 production. These rare transitional error coins are worth a fortune today. In 1965, no quarter was supposed to be made of silver, so when one turns up, that is, collectors go wild. The most famous example, a 1965 Washington quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet, sold for nearly $1.9 million at auction. That coin looked almost identical to a regular 1965 quarter, but the difference was in the metal composition and weight. A normal clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver one weighs around 6.25 grams. That slight difference was enough for experts to identify the silver error. The surfaces also had a slightly different tone and luster, and when struck, the silver coins produced a distinct ringing sound compared to the duller tone of the clad version. Collectors prize these coins because they tell a unique story, a mistake created right at the crossroads of American coinage history. The U.S. Mint was moving from silver to clad, and a few old silver blanks accidentally mixed into the new production line. The result is one of the rarest and most valuable modern quarters ever discovered. But even beyond the silver errors, some 1965 quarters are worth big money for other reasons. There are examples with strong double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and other minting mistakes. Depending on the error type and the condition, these coins can sell from a few hundred to several $1,000s. If you want to check your own 1965 quarters, here's what to do. First, weigh your coin on a precise digital scale. If it weighs close to 6.25 grams, you may have a rare silver transitional error. Next, look at the edge of the coin. Normal 1965 quarters show a distinct copper band around the edge because of the clad composition. Silver planchets, however, will appear solid silver all the way through. If your coin looks or feels different, don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't handle it with bare hands. Cleaning can destroy its collector value instantly. Use soft gloves and put it in a coin holder. Then take it to a trusted coin dealer or send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the metal content and confirm if it's a genuine silver error. Even a standard 1965 quarter in mint condition can be worth a few dollars to collectors, especially those graded MS-67 or higher. But that rare silver planchet version is the true jackpot, the kind of find every coin collector dreams about. The story of the 1965 Washington quarter is one of change, luck, and hidden treasure. It marks the exact moment when America's coins shifted from precious metal to modern clad compositions. It reminds us that even in times of transition and error, something extraordinary can be created by accident. Imagine finding a simple quarter in your change that turns out to be worth nearly $2 million. That's the magic of coin collecting. The thrill of discovery and the hope that the next coin you check could be the 1.so next time you come across a 1965 quarter. Don't pass it off as ordinary. Check the edge, check the weight, and look closely. You might be holding a piece of American history, and maybe a small fortune too. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another video. Drop a comment below if you've ever found an interesting or unusual coin. Who knows, your story might be featured in the next episode. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and always remember, every coin has a story, and some stories are worth a lot more than 25 cents. Would you like me to make a short, high-energy 1-minute version of this for YouTube Shorts that instantly hooks viewers and teases the million-dollar discovery? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Rarest Coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible stories in modern coin collecting, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar. It's a coin that millions of people have seen and spent. But what if I told you that one of these coins sold for an unbelievable $1.7 million? That's right, a simple 25-cent piece from 1967 became a collector's dream and changed the way people look at everyday pocket change. Now let's take a journey into the history of the 1967 Washington quarter, learn why it's special, and find out what makes some of these coins worth a fortune. The Washington quarter has been one of the most iconic coins in American history since it was first minted in 1932. It was originally created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design, by John Flanagan, features a portrait of Washington on the front and a majestic eagle with outstretched wings on the back. This design ran for decades and became a symbol of American coinage. Now let's fast forward to the mid-1960s. This was a major turning point in U.S. coin history. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But rising silver prices caused a massive shortage of coins because people began hoarding silver money. In 1965, the U.S. Mint made a huge decision. They removed silver from circulating dimes and quarters. Instead, they switched to a copper-nickel clad composition, the same metal combination still used today. By 1967, the Mint was still adjusting to this change. During this period, the United States suspended the use of mint marks altogether to discourage coin hoarding. That's why you won't find a mint mark on any 1967 quarter. Every single one looks the same, whether it came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Over 1.5 billion 1967 Washington quarters were struck. So on the surface, this seems like one of the most common coins out there. But as every collector knows, the real treasures often hide among the ordinary. One of the reasons the 1967 quarter became legendary is because of an extremely rare version known as the Special Mint Set, or SMS strike. These coins were not quite proofs and not regular circulation strikes either. They were specially made with extra care and sharper details for collectors. Most SMS coins are worth only a few dollars, but a few were struck with an extraordinary level of quality, so perfect, so flawless, that they became million-dollar rarities. The most famous 1967 Washington quarter that sold for $1.7 million was a spectacular SMS example, graded at nearly perfect condition by professional grading services. The coin displayed deep mirror-like fields, frosted design details, and a flawless surface, what collectors call a deep cameo finish. It was unlike anything else from that year. Some experts even believe it might have been an experimental proof or a prototype strike that accidentally made its way into the special mint sets. This coin broke records when it appeared at auction. Collectors went crazy because it represented the best of the best from a key transitional year in U.S. coinage. It wasn't just about condition, it was about history. It marked the final end of the silver era and the beginning of modern clad coinage. Now let's talk about what you can look for in your own 1967 quarters. While the average coin is only worth face value, some high-grade examples can still bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If your coin has a strong strike, deep mirrored surfaces, and shows almost no wear, it could be valuable. Also, check for any unusual errors. Some 1967 quarters were struck slightly off-center or showed doubling in the lettering or numbers, especially in the words, "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." There are also rare die breaks and planchet errors from that year that can dramatically increase the value. If you find a coin that looks unusual, the best thing to do is handle it carefully. Avoid touching the surfaces and never clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its collector value instantly. Use soft gloves and place the coin in a holder or flip. Then, get it examined by a professional coin dealer or send it to a grading company like PCGS or NGC. Even if you don't have the million-dollar version, you might be surprised how much collectors are willing to pay for rare or high-grade 1967 quarters. Some SMS coins graded in MS67 or MS68 can sell for over $1,000, and unique error coins can bring in even more. But the $1.7 million 1967 quarter remains one of the greatest finds in modern U.S. coin collecting. It represents perfection, history, and luck, all in one small piece of metal. The coin is a reminder that even the simplest objects in our everyday lives can hold incredible value when you look closely. Next time you're going through your spare change or coin jar, don't overlook those older quarters. The 1967 Washington quarter might look ordinary, but you never know. One of them could be the key to a hidden treasure. The story of the 1967 quarter teaches us that history isn't just found in museums or textbooks. It can be found right in the palm of your hand. From a simple pocket coin to a million-dollar masterpiece, this is one of the most fascinating chapters in American coinage. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Share your stories in the comments below. Have you ever found an unusual or rare coin? You might be surprised at what you have hiding in your collection. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, every coin has a story, and some stories are worth a fortune. Would you like me to create a short, 60-second version of this story too? Perfect for YouTube Shorts or TikTok, with punchy lines and high engagement? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Rarest coins. Today we're talking about one of the most incredible and surprising modern coins ever made, the 1981 P. Washington quarter dollar. You might have one sitting in your pocket or in an old jar of change, but believe it or not, there are a few rare 1981 quarters that are worth an unbelievable amount of money, up to $1.4 million. That's right, a simple 25-cent coin from 1981 has sold for more than $1 million. How could that even be possible? Let's dive deep into the history, the details, and the secrets behind this amazing coin. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been one of the most iconic American coins since it was first minted in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design by sculptor John Flanagan features Washington's profile on the obverse and a bold eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. That classic design remained in use for over 60 years, right up until the State Quarter Series began in 1999. The year 1981 sits right in that classic era of the Washington quarter. The coin was struck in huge numbers, with the Philadelphia Mint producing over 630 million pieces that year. The Philadelphia Mint mark, the letter P, appears just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the front of the coin. So, on the surface, the 1981 P quarter is a common coin. Billions are still floating around today. But as every serious collector knows, not all coins are created equal. What makes some of the 1981 P quarters special is that a very tiny number of them were struck using experimental or transitional planchets, or they feature major minting errors that make them one of a kind. These coins are extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. One of them, graded at nearly perfect condition, was sold at auction for an unbelievable $1.4 million. Let's talk about what made that particular coin so valuable. First, it was a minting error unlike anything seen before. Experts believe that this 1981 P quarter was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly a Susan B. Anthony dollar or a proof coin blank that was never meant for general circulation. That means the metal composition and strike quality are completely different from a normal quarter. Under magnification, the surfaces show an incredibly sharp strike, deep mirrored fields, and frosted design details, much like a proof coin. This is what collectors call a transitional or off-metal error, a coin struck on the wrong planchet or under the wrong minting conditions during a time of change at the U.S. Mint. These errors are among the most valuable and exciting finds in coin collecting because they were never meant to exist in the first place. Now, combine that rare minting mistake with a coin that was preserved in almost flawless condition, graded MS-68 or higher, and you have the perfect storm of rarity, quality, and demand. That's how this 1981 P. Washington quarter reached a staggering auction price of over $1.4 million. The story gets even more interesting when you realize that 1981 was an important year for U.S. coins in general. It was the final full year before major design and production changes began leading up to the State Quarter Series and the switch to new minting technology in the 1980s and 1990s. Transitional experiments were happening at the Mint, and a few test strikes may have accidentally entered circulation. Oh, how can you tell if you might have a valuable 1981 P quarter? Here's what to look for. Start by examining the edges and surfaces carefully. A normal 1981 P quarter should be made of a copper-nickel clad composition with a visible copper edge. If your coin looks like it's made of silver or lacks the copper color on the edge, that's a strong sign it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. Also, look closely at the details. If the strike is unusually sharp and reflective, it might be a special strike or proof-like error. Other valuable varieties include coins with double die obverse or reverses, where the lettering or numbers show clear doubling. Some off-center strikes and broad-struck examples are also valuable, sometimes selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition. If you think you've found one of these special coins, the best thing to do is handle it very carefully. Avoid cleaning or polishing it, as that can destroy its collector value. Use gloves if possible, and place it in a protective holder. Then take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for evaluation. A verified grade and certification can make all the difference when determining value. Even though most 1981 P quarters are worth only face value, it's still worth checking your coins. Remember, the person who discovered that $1 million quarter likely found it by accident, maybe in a roll of coins or in loose change. Treasure like this can be hiding in plain sight. The 1981 P. Washington quarter is a piece of history. It represents a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning into modern coin production, and it stands as a reminder that even ordinary coins can become extraordinary treasures under the right circumstances. The combination of a rare mint error, a nearly perfect grade, and historical significance turned one of these coins into a $1 million masterpiece. Next time you get a handful of change, take a second look at your quarters. You never know, you might be holding the next big discovery. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed learning about rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video. Share your coin stories in the comments below. Maybe you found a hidden gem of your own. Until next time, keep collecting, keep searching, and remember, sometimes the smallest coins can hold the biggest treasures. Would you like me to write a short 60-second script version of this for YouTube Shorts or TikTok too? It's great for grabbing quick views and engagement. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and surprising coins in modern U.S. history, the 1998 P. Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks just like any other quarter you might find in your change, but some of these coins are worth a fortune, up to a staggering $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. Over $1 million for a single 25-cent coin. Oh, how can a coin from 1998, one that millions of people have touched and spent, end up being worth that much? Let's find out. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. It replaced the standing Liberty quarter, and over the decades it became one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The obverse side features the bust of George Washington designed by sculptor John Flanagan, and the reverse, up until 1998, showed the traditional eagle with outstretched wings. That design ran all the way until the state quarters began in 1999, making 1998 the very last year of the classic Washington Eagle reverse. Now, the 1998 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and in general, it's a very common coin. Over 1.2 billion of them were made that year. So normally, a 1998 P quarter is just worth its face value, 25 cents. But here's where things get interesting. Some rare 1998 P quarters have unique minting errors or special characteristics that make them incredibly valuable to collectors. The most famous of them all is the 1998 P Washington quarter that sold for over $1.1 million at auction. The reason it's worth so much comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and an extraordinary minting error. Experts believe this million-dollar coin was struck on a different planchet, possibly a proof or experimental composition that was never meant for circulation. The details on the coin are unusually sharp. The luster is unlike any regular strike, and under magnification, the surfaces show signs of being double struck with a deep cameo finish similar to proof coins. Essentially, it's a one-of-a-kind transitional error that slipped through the mint's quality controls that make it even more incredible. The coin is in pristine condition, graded MS68 or higher by professional grading companies. That's almost flawless for a circulation coin. The combination of perfect condition, unique minting error, and historical timing, being the final year before the state quarter series began, all contributed to the record-breaking price tag. Collectors love transitional and experimental coins because they tell a story about the minting process and the changes happening at the time. In 1998, the U.S. Mint was preparing to launch the state quarter program, one of the biggest changes in modern coinage. So during that transition, some test strikes and pattern coins were made, and a few may have escaped into the public by mistake. Those are the coins that can bring in life-changing money if discovered. Now, not every 1998 P quarter is worth that kind of money, but it's still a good idea to check your change. There are a few other varieties and minor errors that can be valuable. Look for coins with strong doubling on the lettering, especially the word Liberty or the date. Also, check for off-center strikes, missing letters, or coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. Even a small error can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition and rarity. If you think you have a special 1998 P quarter, the first step is to handle it carefully. Never clean the coin, because cleaning can drastically reduce its value. Then, take it to a professional coin dealer or send it to a grading company like PCGS or NGC for authentication. A professional grade is essential if you ever plan to sell it or insure it. Now let's talk about how to identify the mint mark. On the obverse of the coin, look to the right of Washington's ponytail. That's where you'll find the letter P, indicating the Philadelphia Mint. The Denver Mint used the letter D, and San Francisco used S. The Philadelphia Mint in 1998 produced more coins than any other facility. But even among those billions, a few special pieces stand apart. Some collectors believe there are still undiscovered error coins out there, hidden in coin jars, old rolls, or even in circulation. So every time you get change, take a closer look at your quarters. You might be holding something worth much more than you think. In summary, the 1998 P Washington quarter marks the end of an era. It's the last year of the classic Eagle reverse, a bridge between the old Washington design and the new era of state quarters. While most are common pocket change, a tiny handful with unique minting errors or experimental features have become some of the most valuable modern coins ever found. And the top example, that stunning 1998 P error, sold for over $1.1 million, proving that even a simple quarter can become a treasure own next time you check your loose change. Remember, every coin has a story. Some of those stories are worth a lot more than 25 cents. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed learning about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another upload. Drop a comment below if you've ever found an interesting or rare coin. Who knows? Your story might be featured in the next video. Until next time, keep hunting, keep collecting, and happy treasure searching. Would you like me to write a shorter version too? One you can use for a YouTube Shorts or TikTok-style video, under 60 seconds? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're exploring one of the most exciting discoveries in modern coin collecting, the 1994 P. Washington quarter dollar. Most people think of the 1994 quarter as just another coin you'd get in your change, but there's a hidden story behind it. A few rare examples of this coin have shocked collectors by selling for unbelievable amounts of money, including one that brought in over $1.3 million. How can a coin minted in the 1990s be worth more than $1 million? Let's take a journey through its history, its unique characteristics, and why certain 1994 P quarters have become legendary. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, honoring the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, it featured Washington's profile on the front and a bold eagle on the back. For decades, it was one of America's most familiar and trusted coins. By 1994, the U.S. Mint was nearing the end of that classic eagle design. The state quarters program was just a few years away, so the 1994 coins represent one of the last issues of the traditional Washington quarter before the major design change in 1999. Now, let's focus on the 1994 P. The P Mint mark stands for the Philadelphia Mint, one of the main facilities producing U.S. coins. In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 825 million quarters. So under normal circumstances, the 1994 P is a common coin. Most are only worth face value. But as always, there's more to the story. Among those hundreds of millions of quarters, a few extraordinary pieces were struck in error, and that's where the magic happens. One specific 1994 P quarter was discovered with a dramatic minting mistake and later sold at auction for around $1.3 million. So what made that coin so valuable? According to experts, the $1 million 1994 P quarter was struck on a planchet that wasn't meant for quarters at all. It was an experimental or transitional planchet, possibly one used for testing new compositions for upcoming coin designs. That means the metal composition, strike pressure, and surface finish were completely different from a normal quarter. Under magnification, collectors noticed mirrored surfaces and unusually sharp details, similar to a proof coin, but clearly not made for proof sets. The error was so extreme and so unique that it became a one-of-a-kind piece. Combine that with the fact that it was preserved in nearly perfect condition, graded mint state 68 or higher, and you have the recipe for an incredibly valuable coin. The 1990s were a fascinating time for the U.S. Mint. Technology was improving, the country was preparing for the new millennium, and big changes were coming to the nation's coin designs. Transitional and test strikes occasionally escaped the mint during this period, and when discovered years later, they became some of the most sought-after coins in the hobby. But even beyond the $1 million example, the 1994 P quarter can still be worth serious money depending on its condition and features. Collectors look for high-grade, uncirculated examples, coins with no wear, strong luster, and sharp details. A regular 1994 P in perfect condition can sell for $50 to $100. If you have a proof-like or error version, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Some of the most valuable 1994 P quarters include double-die varieties, off-center strikes, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. There are even reports of 1994 quarters struck on copper pennies and on 5-cent planchets, which can bring in huge premiums. So how can you tell if you have a rare one? First, take a close look at the edges. A normal quarter should have a visible copper layer sandwiched between two nickel layers, giving it a reddish-brown edge. If your coin looks silver all the way through or shows signs of an unusual metal, that's a strong clue. Next, check for any signs of doubling, especially on the words Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. Doubling can appear as a slight shadow or overlapping effect on the letters or numbers that you'll also want to inspect the mint mark. The P should be clear and crisp. If it looks repunched, misplaced, or doubled, that could be a variety worth examining further. If you think you found something special, handle it carefully. Use gloves and avoid cleaning or polishing it, because cleaning can instantly destroy the coin's collector value. Place it in a protective case and take it to a professional dealer, or send it to a grading company like PCGS or NGC. Getting it officially certified is the best way to confirm its authenticity and determine its value. The 1994 P quarter reminds us that even modern coins can hold incredible surprises. It's easy to assume that only old silver or gold coins are valuable, But history proves that unique minting errors and rare modern issues can be worth just as much, or even more. Imagine finding a simple 1994 quarter in your change, only to discover it's worth over $1 million. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors searching and makes coin collecting one of the most exciting hobbies in the world. The 1994 Washington quarter stands as a perfect symbol of that mystery. A coin that was meant for everyday use, a piece of metal that passed through countless hands, yet somehow became one of the most valuable quarters ever sold. It's a reminder that treasure isn't always buried. Sometimes it's right there in your pocket. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video and love learning about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Drop a comment below if you've ever found an unusual or rare coin. Who knows? Your story could be featured in a future video. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, every coin has a story, and some stories are worth a fortune. Would you like me to create a short, 1-minute version of this script too? Perfect for a YouTube Shorts or TikTok post that hooks viewers quickly. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1993 Washington quarter dollar, a coin most people think of as common pocket change, but one that has shocked collectors by selling for more than $1.4 million. That's right, a simple 25-cent coin from 1993 has reached the $1 million mark, thanks to a rare combination of history, error, and near-perfect preservation. So how did this everyday quarter become so valuable? Let's go back and explore its story. The Washington quarter is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. First introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it replaced the standing Liberty quarter. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, featured Washington's profile on the front and an eagle with outstretched wings on the back. For more than 60 years, that design became a symbol of American currency, used by millions every day. By the early 1990s, the U.S. Mint was preparing for major changes. The state quarters program was just a few years away, and the Mint was experimenting with new production techniques and materials. The 1993 quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, represents one of the last few years of the traditional eagle design before that big change in 1999. Now, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 600 million quarters in 1993, so under normal circumstances, the 1993 is not rare. Most are still worth only their face value of 25 cents. But in coin collecting, it only takes one small mistake or one unusual condition to create something extraordinary. And that's exactly what happened with a few rare examples of the 1993 Out among those hundreds of millions of coins, a few were struck with critical minting errors or experimental materials. These coins were never supposed to enter circulation, but somehow they did. One of these special 1993 Washington quarters shocked the world when it sold for around $1.4 million. What made it so valuable? According to experts, the $1 million 1993 quarter was struck on a planchet intended for a different coin, possibly a silver or experimental blank from the Mint's internal testing process. That means it wasn't made from the standard copper-nickel clad composition used for quarters at the time. Instead, it was a rare off-metal or transitional error coin, with a different weight, color, and luster. When examined under magnification, this coin showed exceptionally sharp details, mirror-like surfaces, and a unique strike quality, features that made it look almost proof-like even though it wasn't from a proof set. It was also preserved in nearly flawless condition, graded Mint State 68 or higher by professional grading services. That combination of extreme rarity, perfect condition, and historical importance is what pushed the value over $1 million. The early 1990s were a fascinating period for the U.S. Mint. Technology was improving, new equipment was being tested, and preparations were underway for the major changes that would come with the State Quarter Series. It's believed that during this transition period, a few experimental planchets and test strikes accidentally entered circulation. Today, those coins are among the most valuable modern quarters ever discovered. But the 1993 Washington quarter can still be valuable even without the $1 million error. Collectors look for high-grade, uncirculated examples and rare varieties. Some 1993 P quarters with strong double die errors or off-center strikes have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coins with exceptional luster and no signs of wear can also bring in premium prices when graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. If you want to check your own 1993 P quarters, here's what to look for. Start by examining the coin closely. The P mint mark is located to the right of Washington's ponytail. Make sure the details in Washington's hair, face, and the eagle's feathers on the reverse are clear and sharp. Blurred or doubled lettering could mean a double die error. Next, check the coin's color and weight. A normal 1993 P quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin feels heavier or lighter than that, or if it has a silvery tone instead of the usual nickel-copper color, it could be a rare off-metal error. Also, inspect the edges. A standard clad quarter shows a distinct copper-colored band around the edge, where the inner copper core is visible. If your 1993 quarter looks silver all the way around, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet. If you believe you found something unusual, handle it carefully. Never clean or polish a coin, because that can ruin its collector value. Use gloves or hold it by the edges only. Place it in a protective coin holder and take it to a professional coin dealer or send it to a grading service for evaluation. Even if it's not the million-dollar variety, a high-grade 1993 P can still fetch impressive prices, especially if it's uncirculated or comes with a unique minting error. The story of the 1993 P Washington quarter reminds us that treasure can hide in plain sight. A small, everyday coin, something we barely think about, can turn out to be a piece of history worth a fortune. That one 1993 P quarter that sold for $1.4 million wasn't just valuable because of its metal. It was valuable because of what it represented: a rare mistake, a piece of history, and a reminder of how something ordinary can become extraordinary. So the next time you get change at the store or dig through an old coin jar, take a closer look at your quarters. You never know, you might be holding one of the rarest modern coins ever made. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed learning about rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video. Share your coin finds and stories in the comments below. Your discovery might be the next big one. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, every coin has a story, and some stories are worth far more than 25 cents. Would you like me to write a short, high-energy 1-minute script of this for a YouTube short or TikTok that quickly grabs attention with the million-dollar hook?